Blake describes the things he sees when he wanders through the streets of the capital. Signs of misery and weakness can be discerned on everyone's face. Every man's voice, even the cry of every infant, a child who hasn't even learned to talk yet, conveys this sense of oppression. It's as if everyone is being kept in slavery, but the manacles they wear are not literal ones, but mental, mind-forged ones. Somehow they are even more powerful, since they mean the oppressed are unlikely ever to rise up and challenge whatever is keeping them in this situation. Each stanza of this dramatic monologue presents the narrator's view of the suffering he sees in this city. He gives us a list of images of the depressing sights he sees and the sounds he hears. However, it is interesting to note that these are voiceless people. Apart from cries, curses and sighs, there are no words. And so perhaps one of the things we can say about this poem is that Blake is providing a voice for the voiceless. Stanza 1 provides the tone and the setting for the poem. The speaker is wandering through a street, and the images that follow are almost as if he has a camera crew with him, recording the poverty and oppression for a documentary. He is walking in a confined, chartered street, and yet he is wandering, almost as if he is lost. He notices the things around him, including the signs of sadness on the faces of those he meets. The tone of the poem is established as melancholic and sad. In stanza 2, we are given more insights into the speaker's feelings. The repetition of the word every hammers home to us that these are not isolated images of suffering. And the stanza drives towards the final alliterative line in which we can hear the despair in his voice. The mind-forged manacles are not real. They are metaphorical restraints which perhaps Blake wants the people, like the French people in their revolution, to throw off and seek their freedoms. The third stanza allows the speaker to comment on two institutions, the church and the palace. Both seem to be corrupt, and cleverly Blake reminds us in the words blackening church, both of the industrialisation of London, which is adding to the poverty and appalling conditions for many in society, and a potential corruption of the church, which should be helping the people, but which the speaker is criticising for not doing so. Is the church blackened because of the smoke from the industrial chimneys? Or is it adding to the woes by blackening of making things worse? It appalls, and perhaps Blake wants us to think about this word, which is connected with Paul, an image of death, perhaps a reminder of the thousands of child deaths. In the fourth stanza, Blake suggests the most pervasive and frequently heard sound on London streets is the sound of a young mother, who is also a prostitute, cursing her newborn infants crying, and blighting, with plagues, the marriage hearse. The final image, the oxymoron of marriage hearse, hearses are for funerals, not weddings, appears to mean that the young unmarried mother's unwanted child, and the misery of both mother and infant alike, is the final nail in the coffin of the idea of marriage as a sacred union, which is associated not with bliss, but with blessing. A curse, of course, can be merely a loud cry or a swear word, but the word carries a ring of profanity at all times.